Hello, everybody. Welcome to this broadcast with Kirt and Nimer. Hello, hello, hello. Just making sure we're live. Oh, look, we
Hello.
have a total of 0 watchers. What's the matter with you,
Nice.
YouTube? We miss a week and
Hopefully that.
everybody goes away? What happened?
Funny how that works.
Oh, well. I suppose let's turn off the music because that might get a little bit annoying.
Yeah, probably. A lot less background noise today.
There we go. Yeah, we don't have the bar. We're not at the bar today. So, yeah,
I
hopefully you
hear a
stick
little
with us.
child, though.
Yes, they're in my background. I've got the door open because
Nice.
it's nice and warm outside. They're actually
Yeah.
enjoying themselves at the pool right across the way here.
Oh, very
There's a
good.
pool right outside my house. And so, yeah, that's what they're doing.
I might open my window a bit. Ah, cool.
All right,
Well, it's
so let's get cracking here, I guess. Kurt, how's it been going?
it's been going pretty good. Been playing around more with my Chromebook and a few more web apps. Haven't been doing as much on the Linux side, just because. I mean, it's there when I want to play with it, and I will. But I guess other stuff, the web apps have been more interesting to me lately.
Yeah, that's cool. Web apps are definitely fun. Just yeah, been working, enjoying that, and it's kind of interesting. I was watching some of the news coming out of the Apple event last week,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
that happened.
yeah, that happened. We'll definitely share our views on that one. I wouldn't say that there's been a huge amount happening in the news this little bit. There's been a few things here and there, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's kind of been I don't know, sort of boring lately.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, just
few things here and there, but generally relatively boring, I think. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about that. We'll mention the Apple event and talk about our views on that and whether we're going to run out and get iPhones or if we already have pre-ordered them. We'll tell you about that. And Kurt's laughing, so maybe he's already given it away for you all, but who knows? And yeah, so then we're going to talk a little bit about how things have been going along with that, the Chromebook. We'll update that on the Linux side. We'll talk about if you want to try Linux under Windows, how you might go about trying to do that. And, it might be just a quick little conversation that we have. And, we'll talk about whether or not I actually recommend that and in what circumstances I might recommend that kind of thing. We'll talk a little bit about the Google Sheets. That's kind of always a fun little topic there. We did a little bit on Google Docs, and Kurt actually just had you had some kind of session or something that you did with some
I did.
people
I
trying to
went.
educate them.
I reached out to my former TVIs from K-12, and they had me come present to all of the TVIs in their school district. And for those of you who don't know, that is an acronym here in the United States for, they call it Teachers of the Visually Impaired. They're the ones who, are supposed to be teaching Braille or doing the extended core, the extra support in classroom type things. And so I went to them and showed them all Google Docs on a Chromebook. And frankly, I was surprised how surprised they were. Like, really all I did was, bold some things, change the alignments of some things from the center to the right and the left of the page, and add some lists and headings, and just did some very basic formatting tweaks on different parts of a document. And they were like, "Wait, you don't need JAWS for this?" And no, so that was pretty cool. So maybe some more students now will be using the same solutions that all the other students are using along with them. So Here's hoping, anyways.
Yeah, and that's something I'm really, really passionate about is if you are a student and you're watching this, or if you know a student and they're not using what their peers are using, you are doing them a disservice. And you're doing yourself a disservice. Please, please take your Braille note, shove it in the toilet tank,
You want
take
me
your
to do that with
iPad.
mine?
Yeah, sure. Take your iPad, shove it in your microwave, turn it on. No, no, please don't take me seriously, but really, I mean, each tool that you have is a tool and it has a purpose. And just like you would not use a hammer to, I don't know, you know, screw in a screw, you probably
Open a
wouldn't
bottle of beer.
necessarily. Right. You probably wouldn't use your Braille note as your productivity tool, especially since, well, frankly, that thing is running an Android version and security updates. By the way, those are more
Yeah.
important than the Android version. That's like 3 years behind now,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, it has its uses. If you have a Braille note, you like Braille, I think use it. If you have an iPad, you like your iPad for certain things, like entertainment, use it. Go right
Yeah.
ahead. But please do not rely solely on these tools. And if your peers or others around you are using Chromebooks or whatever they may be using, you really need to try to put in the effort. And as a TVI, you're doing your students a disservice by not having them use the same tools. Because guess what? When they go to the workplace, students, when you go to the workplace, you're not going to necessarily have the opportunity to choose, oh, this is what I want to use, and it's the only thing I know how to use.
Right.
That's not necessarily going to be an option for you. And if you haven't learned how to type and all you're used to is just swiping around all over the place, number one, you're not productive. And number two, you're going to be hurting when you do actually need to type. So,
Yeah.
yeah, something I'm passionate about, and I'm really glad that you did that. And, to any other TVIs out there, or if you know someone who's a TVI, get them watching this video so they can hear my babble, because I can keep going about this for 2 hours, but I'm not going to, I promise. But it is something that we are passionate about here.
It is. Hey, I have got an Uber Eats order right here, so I'm going to be back in
Okay,
about 2
sounds good.
minutes.
Sounds good. You got some beer there coming?
I wish you can't do that in Utah. I've got some caffeine coming.
Yes, all right. I forgot. All right, so while Kurt goes and does that, we'll talk a little bit about some of the announcements made at the Apple event. Let's see first if we have any comments. I don't have any comments. If you're watching this and you want to leave comments, feel free to leave the comments. Feel free to leave something in the chat. We are not doing this for the video. We are doing this for the content. So if you don't like what you see in terms of video and you'd like to help out, provide more of that content through video, certainly please let us know, and we're happy to have you on. If you'd also like to come on to talk about a certain topic, you're welcome to do that. So let us know that as well. And if you think we're making a mistake or something is not right, definitely let us know that as well. You can either leave in the comments, we'll read those out, or feel free to send me a tweet at Nimmerjabber. You can also get Kurt, find him on his Facebook. That's where he lives. So there we go. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button, share it, subscribe. Definitely get it out there to your friends. Put it on Snack tweet it, whatever. That works for us. So, the Apple event last week, it was kind of an interesting event in that it was more, it's kind of iterative updates that were kind of not much new. Not much new at all. Of course, there's new hardware. We got new iPhones 13s now. There are 13 mini, the 13, the 13 Pro, and the 13 Pro Max. So there's 4 of them that were released. The mini is the smallest one. The Max is the largest one. The mini is actually smaller than the SE 2020. If you are using an SE 2020, I would say the mini is kind of a logical next step for you if you like those smaller devices. It does come, all the devices this year come with bigger batteries. They come with the nicest displays ever put on a smartphone and the nicest processors ever, fastest processors ever put on a smartphone, etc., etc. This is what Apple does every year. There's not a whole lot new here. So the iPhone minis are getting the similar camera system to what was in the Pro models from last year. Uh, so there's not much new there. The processor is still a 5 nanometers. Not really that, there's a couple things here and there, but there's not really a big boost in performance as there has been in past years. So that's kind of a thing. Let's see, the Pro Max has a new camera system. The Pro and the Pro Max this year sharing the camera tech, and they have a new camera system. But again, I would say it's not really much new. The one of the biggest improvements is to the display for the users who are able to see that display. They have a 120 hertz up to 120 hertz display now on the Pro models. So if you're using a Pro, you can enable that or use that, and that will make your refreshing of the screen and scrolling through apps and that kind of thing more enjoyable. This is an Android feature that's been there for a while, but it exists on the iOS side as well, so that's kind of cool. Let's see, is there anything else new? Can't really think of anything else. There's not really a whole lot new there, so check that out. And they also released a couple iPad models. Their new iPad mini kind of been redesigned, and it's just a really nice looking iPad. I know that some of the reviewers were quite impressed with the iPad. It might be probably their highlight that they released this year. So there's that iPad mini that was released, and yeah. So I would say it's not really a whole lot new this year. Uh, the as for whether we recommend going out and getting it, we'll have to ask Kurt here when he gets back. But from my perspective, it is not something that I would recommend. Um, and the reason that
Hey, you're supposed to ask me something when I get back.
didn't know you were back.
I just barely
Welcome
got
back.
back when you said. I got back when you said, "Well, ask Kurt something when he gets back."
Yeah, we'll ask you what you think of the new Apple events. I mean, for my take, or the new Apple announcements. For my take, I'm not rushing out to get an iPhone.
So
It's more of the same. More of the same. It's not really new. And if you already have a 12 Pro, you're really not getting anything new. If you have something older than maybe an 8, I would say yeah, sure, upgrade. And it's you're getting decent upgrades. You're getting a bigger battery. You're getting faster processors and better modems and all that from the 8. But if you're coming from a 12, it's not really anything to upgrade for.
yeah, I mean, probably so. I've heard people say the camera's a little better. Is it the same modem? Do you know?
They're using the X60 modem. So
Oh,
the
so they're
one that
using the
was
X60 instead of 55. So
right. So it's a newer
not
modem, but it's not a huge leap. And most of the
yeah,
wireless companies can't even make use of the modem tech right now that we have.
yeah,
And that's kind of Samsung's last year modem. So I guess maybe
yeah.
yeah, it might be this year's. But anyway,
This this year's. But
it's already basically a year old modem. So
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. This wasn't that exciting on the iPhone side. I was though.
the iPad Mini,
Yeah.
yeah, that one's an
Kinda,
interesting beast just because it's been redesigned.
yeah, and I'm not gonna go out and get one, but I'll tell you what. If I was in Apple Land, I mean, I feel like I've kind of picked my ecosystem as Android and Chrome OS and stuff and it's. I feel like it's silly, kind of, unless you have a lot of money to throw at it, to try and be like, oh, I will have a Chromebook and an iPad and an iPhone and an Android phone, like. But if I was in the iOS world, I that $500 price tag for what you get with that iPad Mini seems pretty nice.
Yeah, it certainly is nice. I hear a drink there. That's good.
Yeah.
They also released the Apple Watch, and again, I wouldn't say it's that revolutionary. It does have a little bit different, better look. It has bigger buttons, so it makes pushing the buttons a little bit easier. It also has 33% faster charging. Ooh, very nice
Oh
feature.
yeah.
Uh,
So like 4 watts instead of 3.
yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly. So I'm in terms of the watch, I'm really like I'm really torn about the watch. Like, yes, I'm sure that there's kind of like year to year innovations, but man, a watch is supposed to last you like 10 years, 20 years, 30
Yeah.
years, you know what I mean? Like it's we've gotten to a point now where we think, "Oh yeah, we can just upgrade. We can just keep paying to get new watches." Like,
Yep.
yeah, why? And at least
Yeah,
from an
that's why.
accessibility perspective, is it really that hard to pull a phone out of your pocket to check your notifications? Is that what you want to do? Is check them on a watch that doesn't even have very good speaker?
No.
Uh,
No, I
yeah,
mean,
like I understand that there are use cases, and more so for the Apple Watch, but there are use cases for it, and I get that.
yeah.
But uh, is it really worth going out and buying a new? Even if you have a Series 4 or Series 5, you have some of the later, features, some of the later sensors.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think I would. And I mean, phones have sort of started to get that way too, but especially on a watch, a wearable that you're putting on your wrist. And think about that watch costs half the price of the phone, or three-quarters of the price if you're buying a lower budget, a lower cost phone.
Yeah.
Like, uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel like I've been looking at smartwatches a lot just because I think there's a lot of potential for, fitness tracking, and more than just fitness tracking, but kind of like body tracking, not have to go to the doctor quite as much eventually. Um, just for like diagnostic type stuff, or like getting information about yourself. But I don't think it's quite there yet for me. I think what I'm looking for in a smartwatch is still probably, you know, couple generations out, and so I don't want to buy one now because, like you said, they're supposed to last. I'd rather wait a year or two, get something with better sensors in it, then.
Yeah, like a lot of the sensors. I mean, a lot of what the watches track now really can be tracked with your phone. Like they have pretty decent pedometers.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. Like your phone does too. I know that they can detect other kinds of workouts, but yeah, they're not really about the best thing that they can do right now is probably do the ECG, the ECG measurements.
yeah, blood
But
pressure.
I don't think can they do. I don't think they can do blood pressure right now, can they? It
I
would be
mean, I
nice
don't
if
think
they
it's the
could,
most.
but I don't think they can do blood pressure.
I mean, you would probably know more than me, but I thought the new Apple ones could, but I don't know.
Uh,
Are you googling it?
I am because I don't think they can do blood pressure, but I want to make sure I'm giving correct information. I might be wrong about that, but let's see. There's a cool article about here's what heart experts think about the new Apple Watch.
Oh, lovely.
So it ECG monitor as well as a blood oxygen monitor. The blood oxygen monitor did not receive FDA clearance.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so it doesn't seem like they can actually do blood pressure.
Okay. I mean, fair enough.
But you know what? If they can do that, if they can measure other things, if they can do like blood sugars or any like,
Yeah. That's
once
why
they
I'm
start
saying
getting into more of that, then maybe let's start talking about that. But even I don't know. Yeah, I just. But then if you buy one, you would
Yeah,
hope that it would last you 10 years, or
right. And
I
so
don't know.
that's kind of what I'm saying is I see potential in that form factor for those kinds of things more than a phone. More like you're talking blood sugar or blood pressure. I just don't think we're there yet.
Right.
So, but I think we're kind of headed that way.
Yeah, we are certainly headed that way. I guess then my next concern would be to make sure that that information stays tied to the watch and local, unless
Yeah.
I choose to share it, because that's another concern I
Oh
have
yeah.
is, the more connected we get, where is that data going, and do I really want an electronic device having access to my health records, sharing that out to people, and
No, yeah, I understand
I don't
that.
know. So anyway, I guess it's fair to say I wasn't hugely impressed with this Apple event. I think that these are just small iterative updates. They're not really. There's nothing really big. It's kind of like stagnation to me. The iPhone's kind
Yeah.
of like even the processor. Usually they talk about how much faster it is, but this year they're using pretty much same processor tech as last year. Uh,
Yeah.
the,
Well,
about the best thing I can say about the new devices is battery life, really.
yeah. I mean, I think we're getting to the point with mobile processors that it seems like kind of where we were with like desktop and laptop processors. What, like 5 to 10 years ago, where you couldn't really do much more with the form factor size you had, so all of the generations were just really tiny incremental. Like, it kind of seems like we're getting that way with phone processors now, because you can't just always go, well, smaller nanometers this year, and next year it's 3, and next year after that it's like you can't just keep scaling down forever. Physics exists.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I think when it's like the yearly upgrade cycle comes, and should I upgrade? I really think what's missing from a lot of the reviewers is the question of why are you wanting to upgrade? What is your phone
Yeah.
not doing for you this year that you hope this new one is going to do for you when you get this new one? And if you don't have an answer for that question, or if the answer to that question isn't worth $1,000,
Yeah.
then don't upgrade. Like, and I realize a lot of people don't really see that cost because they're just paying over time, $30, $40 here every month. But imagine take that and throw that into, investor account or something and make that
Yeah.
money grow. I don't know. Like,
No, it's a real thing. And phones, the premium flagship, that's I mean they're not getting cheaper.
no, no, they're not. They're getting more expensive, and I feel like they're offering less, year over year. I mean, they're doing more than ever before, but they're offering less year over year. And
Yeah.
so, when you think about why are you upgrading and what do you get by upgrading, think about what you currently have and is it meeting your needs? And if not, then how will this new one help that? And if it doesn't, then hold on to it. Wait another year, wait another 2 or 3 years. Um, I'm a little bit concerned too about like the impacts on the planet. With all these
Yeah.
devices kind of going into landfills, and some of it being recycled, but because I think companies are making it easy to go buy the next device, but I'm just not sure that people should.
Yeah, especially every year. I mean, I usually so far in my life I've tended to live on like a 2-year upgrade cycle, but I'm almost starting to wonder if that's too how much we're paying for these phones now.
I think it is. I mean,
Like,
look at like the iPhone 8. We go back to the iPhone 8 or even iPhone 7 or even the iPhone 6s. The iPhone 6s is strangely it's actually still being updated. But when I look at like what's changed from the iPhone 6s to the iPhone 13, that makes a dramatic improvement for the user that the user would like, hey, I really need this feature. Processors have gotten faster, but the processors were pretty fast already. Like, what could you do
yeah.
back then that you can't do now? or vice versa. You get more RAM, that's good. You get better battery, that's good. So maybe like
Better
in
Wi-Fi.
better
I think
Wi-Fi,
those
better data.
networking things matter. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So you get all that, but that's like how long it's been, like 6 or 7 year cycle.
yeah.
Then it's worth upgrading. But before that, like, was it really worth upgrading? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, especially.
And I mean, even for the Wi-Fi and the data, like you mentioned that, like, yeah, that's important, but it's some of that is important to geeks. I want the faster modems. I want great modem.
Right.
But for most people, hey, if you pull up your email and it's downloading, and you pull up a YouTube video and you're able to play it, and you pull
Yeah.
up whatever, and what the hell do you care how fast or slow the modem is?
So, this is making me think of my Braille note. And hear me out here, because I agree with you on a lot of the problems that thing has. But it has a processor from, 2016. It's got the Snapdragon 820 in there. 4 gigabytes of RAM. Like, by any measures of today's world, that's like a very low-spec machine. But for most things, and I don't use it as my primary device, I would be an idiot to do that. But when I want to do web browsing on that thing for whatever reason, I can. I've not ever really had, like, that low processor hasn't kept me from, like, watching YouTube videos or using Android apps or doing word processing or whatever on that
No, and it won't. I mean, it was
device.
a good processor then. It won't keep you from those things.
And so it's like, I really think this is a good point where I think you and I both are kind of geeks who like to be like, how far can we push this thing that we have? But that's not, that's not most people. And I think most tech reviewers and people trying to hype up these new things every year, it's like, I think a lot of people in the tech world have kind of lost touch with, like, what are most people doing with their devices?
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, if I was a tech reviewer for TechCrunch, I'd probably write up one article and then just post that about every device. And I just keep reposting it year after year. It's faster. It has a better camera. It has whatever. And then, I just copy the specs for each new phone. But basically, everything's like, what's different?
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. It seems like we're in agreement on that. And as for the Braille Note, if the Braille Note got security patches, I wouldn't have anywhere near the amount of problems that I have with it.
Oh, I agree. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
And another big problem about it is a humanware rep lied to me about it and told me, "Oh, we're still getting security patches from Google." Like, that to me is almost a bigger problem. I mean, not having them is bad enough, but then trying to sell your product and say you still have them, like,
well, if they have them, they're
I
not passing them along to their Braille notes.
right? Yeah. You're 100% right there.
And by the way, if you are at a university or somewhere that is allowing you to connect to their networks with a Braille note, I would probably have a conversation with their IT person and tell them they're a moron, because that's a big vector for a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And so those kinds of devices would never be allowed to touch my network, and I don't even have anything personal on my network that I care that much about. But I sure as hell wouldn't allow it to touch a company's network that that did have sensitive data.
How much of that do you think? Because I feel like as far as VPNs go, I've paid for Surfshark. I've paid for, I think, a decent one. How much does that help with that security vulnerability there? Or, like,
your device is still connecting to that local network, so it doesn't. I mean, maybe, especially if you go somewhere big like a library or so I don't know, somewhere that has lots of other users connecting, a coffee shop, whatever. It's true that you're connecting to a VPN, so your web traffic is more secured, but your device is still showing up on the network.
Yeah.
With those holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, that's a problem. And
Yeah,
but
no, I
anyway,
agree. That's we don't need to. we, we've been
yeah,
agreeing
I
a
don't
lot
need to go
today.
babbling on the Braille note. Kurt, tell me to shut up and move on. Okay, so let's see. What else did we say we're going to talk about? Oh yes, the Chromebooks and Linux and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
how's your Chromebook life?
So my Chromebook life. I just bought a Bluetooth keyboard, and I haven't really played around with Linux on it yet. But really the only problem on the Linux side that I had before is Chromebooks have this search key that makes it hard to do a lot of screen reader commands in Linux because it seems like that Orca screen reader in Linux is very similar to JAWS with the way it wants to operate, at least as far as having a screen reader modifier key there. And so I need to play with that on my Bluetooth keyboard and see what, but other than just the Linux side, I've been using this more for different web apps, and I've been surprised. I guess I shouldn't have been, but I've been surprised how many things that I'm used to doing just with a separate app or a separate program on my computer. Like for example, Audible. Audible has a web app. They have a cloud player that I have found is easier to control with keyboard shortcuts and just the, navigating by elements on the web app than the Audible app on my phone was. It's not like a massive difference, but it takes a little less time to navigate my book than it did on my phone. I found a web app for Telegram that is kind of quirky. It does a few things that I don't like, but it works pretty, it works really well for all of my Telegram now. And so just all these things that I had apps for in the past that now I'm just like, okay, let's see if they have a web interface to do the same thing. And it's not always better, but sometimes it is, and sometimes it's a lot better.
Yep. That's really good. And then you're finding that you're able to be generally productive and accomplish most of your tasks that you need to do with a Chromebook.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to have a Windows computer around in my life, I think, just because, but that's because I am kind of a geek, right? I like to do I want to play around with a little bit of audio editing, and I want to do, run other programs and stuff. But that's not really my productivity. That's just stuff that is fun for me to do as like hobbies. But other than that kind of stuff, this Chromebook is like, yeah, I can do pretty much anything I need to on this thing.
It'll be interesting to see once you start using Linux if you can replace some of your Windows type apps that you are using in Windows with Linux apps.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting too.
Well, and really, the only thing I have to figure out is that. The Bluetooth keyboard I got, I didn't like. I should have looked at it more before I got it. I got the Microsoft Designer something or other, and
Okay.
it's really weird. I feel very like bougie in a way, being like, oh, this keyboard has arrow keys that are too small. I can't use it. But it actually makes it hard to use that keyboard. It's got tiny little arrow keys,
Yeah.
and it makes
Sometimes
me
you
not
do
want to
skimp
pull
out
it
on
out.
those things. Yeah. Logitech makes some pretty decent Bluetooth full-size keyboards. I got one that recently. That's I think what is it? Sateki. I think it's Sateki. I've got some of their
That's the
other
brand?
peripherals as well. Yeah, it's the brand. So
Logitech? Techie?
Logitech is one. There's another one, Sateki.
Oh, they're separate. Okay.
They're separate brands. Yes,
They're separate brands.
separate
Okay, I
brands.
was like, that didn't seem like something Logitech would put out.
Yeah, yeah, no, they're separate brands, and both of them have full size keyboard options, and I think those are
So
usable. But yeah,
I used to have, and I broke it after like 5 years of just throwing it in my backpack. It's kind of a wonder it lasted as long as it did. But I had this
what'd you do? Sit on
iClever
it?
beak. I mean, I probably did sometimes actually. I
Yeah,
had
the
this little
iClevers are
folding
good.
iClever. I would like. Are there bigger keyboards folding too? Because I would love a folding keyboard that's just a tiny bit bigger than that little iClever I had.
I believe there are. Yes, there are full sized iClever keyboards. So we just have to go to this thing. I don't know if you ever been there. Go to the address bar, type how you say
You want me to Google it?
at google.com, yeah, and type how you say keyboard, full size. No, I'm kidding. Anyway,
I mean, fair
I'm
enough.
sure I'm sure that they do. Yeah, or go to this other site called Amazon.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. Okay, well, there we go. So there's a developer that came out with a PowerShell script, and he is the developer of a Linux distribution that is specifically blindness related called Slint. And Slint runs on, I believe the underpinnings is Slackware. And so, yeah, it's a little bit different than the Ubuntu's and the Fedoras. But he did come out with a script to be able to install this thing in Windows. And which is kind of cool. So I tested out the script. It needed to be modified a little bit to work with AMD processors. Uh, I worked with him, and he made those modifications. But now you can actually install this Linux distribution. But you can install the interesting thing is you can modify the script to install any other Linux distribution pretty easily, and it's using this Windows hypervisor to be able to create like a virtual disk within Windows, and that's already built into Windows. It just needs to be enabled through the Windows features. And once you enable this Windows hypervisor, it also goes out and downloads this thing called Kemu, which that thing goes out and basically creates the virtual environment and creates the disk and everything. So everything runs within this Kemu thing. It's kind of like I guess like a virtual box type thing, and that's running on top of this hypervisor. So it's kind of interesting how this works. The Kemu itself isn't really accessible, but it doesn't have to be. The installer, everything runs through this PowerShell script, and yeah. So anyway, it goes out and installs it, downloads everything, downloads the ISO, and it downloads this Kemu, and he has some good instructions in the script itself for how to do this process. And once that happens, once everything goes up, then the installer for it is a text-based installer. It uses SpeakUp, I believe, and but it starts talking right away. So it'll say if you need Braille, push B, otherwise push Enter. If you need speech, push S, otherwise push Enter. And it'll ask you specific questions for the installer. It'll ask you like, would you like to install? And then it gives you options. Do you want to do an automatic install or a manual install, which basically, allows you to set partition sizes, that kind of thing. It's a text-based installer, but you can still navigate through it with arrow keys and enter. And sometimes you have to type in a command like just a one-letter command or something, or type in yes and hit enter. But it guides you through it and it tells you exactly what you need to do. And once it installs, you might get a reboot of the virtual machine. Once it installs, then you can also you basically have access to. You can use graphical desktop apps with Orca from within Windows. So you can do that. You can also just use the regular Windows old. You can download Ubuntu from the Windows App Store actually, and that's using the Windows Linux subsystem. So this is another way of downloading or getting Linux running on a Windows machine, just to get that going, and and then you're able to use again that within Windows as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. That's not relying on any kind of a script. Uh, I haven't been able to get Orca working in that mode. That's not to say that it doesn't work. It's just that I haven't put that much time into it. I have been able to get it working in like a command prompt, or in a not command prompt, a terminal, a shell. So you can run Linux commands in there, but I'm pretty sure that you can get Orca running. I just have not done that, because what I end up doing is, instead of running within Windows, I just like to have a separate Linux partition installed altogether, because that's just how I do things. And it allows it so you're not actually sharing resources between the two things, because that's what happens when you do this. You end up having to share partitions if you're doing it within Windows, or sorry, share system specs, so you can allocate. For example, I've got 16 gigs of RAM. I can allocate, I don't know, 6 gigs to Linux or whatever, and the remainder will stay with Windows. Uh, and you can allocate a number of cores that you want for the processor and that kind of thing. So, but yeah. So anyway, give that a go, and that'll be just like installing, similar to Kurt went through the install of Chrome, Linux in Chrome. It's kind of similar to that. You get Linux in Windows. So if you're interested in trying that, give that a go, and I will pop the link in for the script into the chat so that you can use that. And
That's interesting. Hey, do you know, while you were explaining that, is there an easy way? It got me thinking, if I don't want to share resources between Linux and Chrome OS on my Chromebook, is there a way to, like, an easy way to dual boot Linux onto my Chromebook, maybe?
no,
Okay.
nope.
I thought they had something called, like, Crouton or some weird thing.
Yeah, so Crouton was how you installed Linux prior to the official, installing Linux things. So you can use Crouton again within Chrome OS to run Linux from there.
Oh, but
And,
it's the same. It's the same virtualized kind of thing.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right. Let's see here. I'm going to get that link for that script.
Oh, do we not have any comments?
Nope, no comments.
I have.
Yep, nobody wants to talk to us today.
I have an intercom messenger. What's that all about?
That is to get support, I believe, from Restream.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Okay, so I've gone ahead and put the link for this thing in the chat. So if you'd like to check that out, then definitely take a look at the chat, and that link for the script will be in there. And if you open that script up, you can edit it in like a notepad or something like that, or Notepad++, whatever you have. And the instructions are there as well, and they're also on that page. So pretty easy to do that. So there we go.
Very nice.
All right, Google Sheets.
Oh, very lovely. Okay.
What's a Google Sheet? Why do I need Google Sheets? Who gives a shit about Google Sheets?
Who gives a shit about Google Shits?
Exactly. I guess maybe I'll have to hit that checkbox.
Oh no! Do you have a checkbox for explicit content?
So Google Sheets is similar to the Excel. If you have used Excel in the past, Google Sheets is that. If you haven't used it in the past, you really should because it's very powerful and it can do a lot in terms of managing your data. It's really great for if you just want to do a simple contact list. It's really great for keeping track of any kind of data really, and it'll do calculations for you. And if you're a student, you can set up formulas in there, and maybe I shouldn't tell you how to cheat on your homework, but you can do your math in Google Sheets or Excel, uh, and do that as well. And of course, if you are working in spreadsheets, then you can certainly use it for that, and it's really great for sorting data, for formulas, for all kinds of things, and it is quite accessible. So, in order to use Google Sheets, you kind of have to have an idea of like the concept of how to navigate around a Google Sheet. So what I'm going to do is maybe I'll share the screen. That way you get the audio anyway. And then I will go into a sheet and do some navigating around. And in this case, I'm on my Windows machine today and I'm using my headset. So I'm going to connect using Windows. But this works just as well with Chrome OS. It works just as well with JAWS. Works just as well with whatever screen reader that you should choose to use. So there we go. Share screen. And let's do, actually, let's share screen. I'll share a Chrome tab. Nope. I want to do full screen because otherwise I can't share audio. There we go. Okay, so hopefully my NVDA is coming through nice and clear. And now we're going to go to Google Spreadsheets. The way that you do that, you go to the address bar, Control L in Chrome or Firefox or whatever it is that you're using. If you're using Chrome, you can simply type sheets.new. sheets.new, which is also how you can create a new Google Doc or whatever, a new slide, whatever it might be. If you're using Firefox, you have to go into Sheets itself, so sheets.google.com, and then there'll be an option to create a new sheet. And so you can do it that way. And it might ask you for a template. You can just choose a blank template, and that's how you do that. Okay, let's turn down the speech rate. That might be beneficial for some of you. And there we go.
Untitled Spreadsheets, Google Sheets, Google Chrome, Canary, Nimer, B1.
Okay, so the other thing to know is if you have NVDA or JAWS and it's not set to read the table cells or the table cells, then you need to check that option. It should be by default, but some people do turn that off to get less verbosity in tables. But if you do that, then you won't get the readout of the columns and rows. If this isn't working for you, you go to sheets.new and nothing is reading out. You need to know a few things. Just like with docs, you have to have accessibility mode on. You turn accessibility mode on. The easiest way is Control-Alt-Z, zebra. Control-Alt-Z. That is how you turn it on. Then once it's on, I would recommend going into the Braille mode, and because that's where the docs improvements and things like that generally will be in Braille mode. You don't have to have a Braille display to use Braille mode, but give it a go. If it doesn't work, something's not working right, you can switch back at any time. The easiest way to go to Braille mode or adjust any setting really or access pretty much anything in Sheets is to do Alt/. So let's do Alt/.
Search the menu, submenu.
Search the menu, and I'll type in Braille.
List expanded. Enable Braille support. Control+Alt+H checked 1 of 6.
It's the easiest way. So it says enable Braille support. You can just hit enter to enable it, or if it's not enabled, in my case it's already enabled. It does give you a hotkey. If you remember the hotkey, feel free to use it. It's Control-Alt-H, but I do like to try to provide those concepts of how to do things without that.
And this is the same way that you do it in Google Docs. If you need to find that hotkey, it's the same control slash.
Right. So that's alt slash, and that's
right.
it.
Yeah, alt slash.
Yep. And by the way, if you are hearing an echo, that is because when Kirt talks, he's coming through my audio, and I'm sharing my audio, so that's probably why. So apologies for that. But if you are, while I'm doing a screen share, if you do hear echo, that is why. But there we go. Nothing I can do about that. Okay, so now the way that Excel works is it's a grid, and we have things like, it's kind of like a battleship game. So I don't know if you're used to like a battleship game. It's a grid, but it doesn't end with just 10 squares. It goes on and on and on and on. You navigate this grid by using arrow keys, left or right arrow key, or up or down arrow keys. So if I'm going to hit right arrow, I'm going to go to the next column, and it will say
B1.
B1. I'm going to go to the next column, and I hit right arrow,
C1.
C1. Okay, and now I'm going to go left arrow, and I'm going to go to the previous column to the left, and I'm going to hit
B1.
left arrow. It says B1. Hit left arrow again,
A1.
A1. Let's hit down arrow, and I'm going to go to the next row. So when I hit down arrow, it's going to go to the next row, and it says
A2.
A2. Hit right arrow again.
B2.
It says B2. If I hit right arrow, if I hit left arrow,
A2.
I'm back to A2. If I keep going down, it'll say C2.
A3.
Or no, I'm sorry, A3,
A4.
A4. So the numbers go down as you go down, and up if you go up. The letters go up if you go right, or down if you go left, and that's just you navigating by row and by column.
A1.
Okay. Before I get too far into this, I should mention that you can enable or get a list of keyboard shortcuts by doing a command, and that command is similar to what you would use in Docs. So you can hit Control slash.
Keyboard shortcuts dialog.
There's the control slash.
There's the Control slash, and this is going to give you a list of your keyboard shortcuts. And now this is, by the way, I should have mentioned when you're using Google Sheets, it is always best to use it with virtual PC cursor off, browse mode off, sticky mode off, whatever off, unless you're using it to read something like the keyboard shortcuts, in which case it's beneficial to turn it on.
Keyboard short.
So I'm going to hit insert space, and now I'm able to use.
Navigation menu list clickable editing.
So now I'm
Clickable heading level 3 editing. Absolute / relative references when entering a formula.
absolute relative references when entering a formula. If you don't understand what the stuff is, it's okay. There's plenty of tutorials on what things mean or what things do in a spreadsheet, and it's going to be the same as in Excel as in Google Sheets. This tutorial is not necessarily to give you like what each formula does. Frankly, I don't know what each formula does, but even if I did, we would be here for the next 20 years if that's what I were to do. But nonetheless, here are the keyboard shortcuts that you can use for Google Sheets, and you certainly can go through this list, and there's a lot of them.
Row 2 editing column 2 F4.
And this is a table, so we can switch between references by using F4, either absolute or relative.
Editing row 3 accept smart fill suggestion.
Accept smart fill suggestion.
Editing column 2 control plus shift plus Y.
Control shift Y. So again, there's a
Editing
lot of
column
hotkeys, quite a lot.
Row 4 copy. Row 5 cut. Row
Copy,
6
cut,
define word. Row 7
define
delete rows
word.
/ columns or open delete menu.
We can delete rows or columns or open the delete menu.
Editing column 2 control plus alt plus control plus or alt plus HDD graphic getting description.
So there's a lot of, some of these things have alternate hotkeys. I would recommend that when you're doing this, you enable the reading of punctuation, because otherwise, if you are like me and you don't have a lot of punctuation readouts, by default, these hotkeys won't make any sense unless you review them character by character.
Symbol level most.
So
Symbol level all.
let's just set it to all for now.
Editing column 2 control plus alt plus dash control plus dash or alt plus H comedy graphic getting
So there we go. That's a number of ways to do it.
Editing row 8 edit description. Row 9 fill tone. Row 10 fill range.
So we
Row
can
9
fill
editing
down.
column 2 control plus the alt plus H comma F comma A comma D or alt plus E comma A comma D graphic get in this.
So there's a number of ways of doing this, and it lists all those different ways of
Editing
doing
column
this
1 row
task.
10 fill range. Row 11 fill right. Row 12 group. Row 13 input tools on row 14 insert array formula. Row 15 insert current date.
Insert current date.
Editing column 2 control plus semi.
Control semicolon.
Editing row 16 insert current date and time.
Insert date and
Editing
time.
column 2 control plus alt plus shift plus semi.
Control Alt Shift semicolon. Many of these shortcuts are similar to what they are in Excel. So if you know Excel, then a lot of these shortcuts may be familiar. Some of them are different, but a lot of them are the same.
Editing row 17 insert current time. Editing column 2 control plus shift plus semi.
Control Shift semicolon to insert the time, which should really probably be Control colon, maybe. I don't know.
Editing row 18 insert link.
Insert link, so we can insert links.
Row 19 insert new sheet.
Control K. We can have sheets. So a sheet is kind of like what I was in before, and that is A1, A2, or still in. It's kind of like that's one sheet, but you can have multiple sheets in generally what they call a workbook. So you can have multiple Excel sheets, and you can actually have them linked together so that a formula on one sheet will affect things on other sheets. So can get a little bit complicated, but you certainly can do those things in multiple sheets in Google Sheets. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all these keyboard commands. There's a billion of them. So let's hit escape. Let's check out the menu bar, and then we'll try a couple of things in Excel and see how it works, or Sheets, see how it works. All right. So let's go into the menu bar, and the way you do that, you can just hit the Alt F to go to the File menu.
File submenu 1 of 10.
If you're using Firefox, you need to add a shift to that because Alt F will just go to the browser menu bar. So let's go to the File menu, hit down arrow key, you can share.
New and field right pointer submenu.
New.
Open or control plus
Open.
Import I.
Import.
Make a copy C.
Make a copy.
Download the field right pointer submenu.
Download, so we can download this sheet as an Excel spreadsheet if we need to share it with someone who's using Microsoft, or in other formats like what's that? Oh gosh.
Microsoft. Open document format left. PDF document.
PDF, web page,
left,
CVV, CSV. There we go. God, I couldn't remember the name of it for some reason. CSV. Wow.
That's the one our password managers use, right?
They can use. That's kind of an open database standard, so they can use it, but that's not really an encrypted file type. So it's what you would get if you export it to a readable a readable file type.
Download the field right. Make available offline.
So we have a number of things. So let's go to the edit menu. I'm just going to hit right arrow.
Edit submenu 2 of 10. Undo control.
Undo, redo. These are similar. Cut, copy.
Control plus C. Paste P control.
Paste.
Paste special S. Find and replace F.
Find and replace. Delete values.
Delete row 1D.
Delete row.
Delete column E.
Delete column.
Delete cells and shift up Y.
Delete cells and shift up, which means just delete where you're at and move everything up.
Delete cells and shift left. Clear note cell. Undo control plus Z.
So again, we have a number of options here. Let's go to View. There's a number of options in View. Let's go to Insert. Let's see what we can insert here. Row above.
Row below B.
Row below, and this is helpful if you have already a list of sheets, or a list of, list of formulas, or a list of numbers, or a list of names, whatever it is, and you need to add one. That's how you would do this. It doesn't make sense at the moment. It will make sense soon once we actually add some data.
Column left. Column right. O.
Can insert a column to the left or a column to the right.
Cells and shift down D. Cells and shift. Chart H. Image D field right.
Chart, image, drawing, form.
Function U field right pointer submenu.
Functions, and this is where we start to get into the sheets type features. So let's go into function and see what kind of functions we can insert.
Sum S.
Can sum,
average A.
Average,
count C.
Count,
max M.
Max,
min I.
Min.
All field right pointer submenu.
And there's an all. There's quite a lot of these that we can actually do on a specific set of data. So if I put in there like in A1 I put 1, and A2 I put 2. In A3 I can get the sum of A1 and A2, for example.
Function.
That's kind of how that works.
Insert link K control plus K.
Insert link.
Checkbox X.
Checkbox.
Comment M control plus Alt.
Comment.
Note M shift plus.
Note.
New sheet S shift plus.
New sheet. And so there's quite a lot of things
Format
here. Let's go to the format menu. Again, a lot of things I can do to formatting.
Number and field right. Bold B.
Can choose how numbers are formatted. So whether I want decimals, or I want percents, or I want just numbers, how those are formatted.
Italic icon. Underline new.
The standard
Track
bold, italic, underline,
font size. Align
fonts,
text wrapping.
text
rotation,
wrapping.
field right.
All these things I have access to. Text rotation. It's very important to look at some of these options, when you have some time, because when you write in a spreadsheet and you write in a cell, if you write too much, that print will look very small and people won't be able to read it and all that. So you want things like text wrapping and that kind of thing. Very important to know what is actually visible when you write a bunch of text in a spreadsheet cell.
Conditional formatting F.
Conditional formatting.
So
anyway, there's a lot, and then we have a data menu. We can sort stuff by A to Z, which is alphabetical,
Sort sheet by column, Z right arrow Z.
or Z to A.
Create a filter F.
We can create filters and actually choose exactly what we want.
Filter news W. News slicer J. Data validation.
So there's quite a lot of
table
features here.
Name
Pivot
engine.
tables, some people like to use those.
Protected sheets
in
and
Excel.
engine mode. New cleanup suggestions Y.
A lot of options here.
Tools submenu 7 of 10.
Let's see, we also have a tools menu. There's a number of options in
Create a form
here.
F. App sheet HT. Script editor E.
So quite a lot here. We have a script editor. I'm not going through every single option, but there's a lot.
Add dash-ons submenu.
We have add-ons. We can add in add-ons to Workspace and
View more
choose what
with
we
sheets.
want.
Looking for even more sheets features question. Get a few add dash-ons dot.
All right, let's hit right arrow to go to the next menu.
Help submenu 9 of 10.
We have a help, and then the menu that I want to get to, which is accessibility.
Accessibility submenu 10 of 10.
Let's go specifically in here because there are some features for how to use a spreadsheet that we should take a look at.
Speak as field right pointer submenu.
Speak. Okay, so this is very self-explanatory. Let's go into the speak menu and see what we can speak.
Speak formatting F.
We can have formatting spoken.
Always speak formatting or not checked.
We can always have formatting spoken. So speak formatting is just going to do it once, and all will do it, throughout as you're using in that sheet.
Always speak formatting changes H not checked.
Formatting changes. So this kind of an interesting one.
Speak number formatting N.
Number formatting.
Speak cell characters C.
Cell characters.
Speak row R control plus alt plus shift plus R.
Speak the entire row.
Speak column L control plus
Speak the column.
Speak row 1 on column changes W.
Speak row 1 on column changes.
Speak column on row changes U.
Speak column A on row changes. So this is like, if you're going down and you want to read the header, for example. It's a good way to set that.
Start monitoring at 1M.
Start monitoring A1.
Speak selection analysis S.
And you can do this for any of the cells.
Speak formatting F.
So there's a lot of things that you can speak. So let's go back.
Speak S. Comment C field right point.
Comments. So again, we can go to the next comment, previous comment, similar to docs, and they'll show up
Speak
here.
comment.
Have comments spoken.
Speak anchor control plus alt.
Speak anchor
Open comment
text.
history.
Open comment
Enter current
history.
comment E control.
Enter current comment.
Speak comment C comment. Go to range G.
We can go to range. I'm not sure why this is necessarily inaccessibility, but we can certainly go to a range. So that's like a specific cell or range.
Focus tool at E.
Focus toolbar.
Group C field right pointer submenu.
Groups. So we
Read
can
all
go
row
in here. We
groups
can read all row groups.
Read all column groups C.
All column
Move
groups.
to dot. M field right pointer submenu.
Choose
Group.
where to move to. Okay, let's get out of here.
Data connectors a field right point.
Data connectors.
Speak S field right.
So quite a lot of accessibility options to take a look at that will help you in speaking exactly what you want spoken and knowing what's going on.
At 1.
Finally, we'll try to wrap this up, and then maybe we'll see if there's any questions in the chat, and maybe Kurt has any questions. Let's go to, I'm going to go, just type in here, practice sheet. Just write that in A1, and let's go down to A3.
A 1 set to practice. A 3. A 4. A 3.
Okay, here we go. So in A3, I'm going to just write the number 1.
A 3 1. A 3 set to 1 dot. A
And
4.
I'm going to hit down arrow. Let's go to type in the number 2.
A 4 combo box. Practice sheet. A 4 set to 2 dot. A 5.
And I'm going to hit the number 3.
A 5 combo box multi-line edit. Practice sheet. A 5 set to 3 dot. A 6.
Okay, so now if I want to get the sum, I can go to that functions thing and say, get the sum. Or I can just type it in just like I would in Excel. So I can just type equals.
Formula mode on dot. Use
Formula mode
to
on.
Range dot. A 6 combo box multi-line edit.
Sum.
List expand sum sum of a series of numbers and slash or cells dot.
There we go. So now I've got sum. And now I'm going to type parentheses.
A 6 combo box.
And I want A3 through A5 because that's where my numbers that I wrote in here are. But I can always just select those cells prior to, or I can, where it did give me an announcement that I can select a range of cells. So I can certainly do that. But I can just type it in because that's, that's probably the easiest to do. So A3.
Untitled spreadsheet -2.
And I'll hit the colon. And we'll do A5, and I'll hit the end of parentheses and hit enter.
A 6 set to equals sum left, a 8, a 7. As formula, 6 a 6.
And it added them up. So now the total is 6. Well, let's see. Is that 1 plus 2? That's 3 plus 3. Is that 6? I think that's 6. So I guess it does actually know how to do math. So yeah. And then, of course, you can use the applications key, and you can have a number of options as well if you're on a cell. So I just hit the applications key, which is important. Got copy paste, show edit history,
insert row 6 of 18.
Insert row,
insert column 7 of 18.
Insert column,
insert cells, field
insert cells,
delete row 9 of 18. Delete column 10 of 18.
Delete row, delete column.
Delete cells, field right pocket link to this cell 12. Define name range 13 of it. Protect range 14 of it. Comment control plus alt plus insert note 16 of it. Conditional formatting 7. Data validation 18 of 18.
So I have quite a lot of these. And let's say I wanted to insert.
3 of 5.
So I'm on A5. And now let's see if I wanted to insert the number 4. So let's see here. I'm going to go to insert. Insert menu.
Insert sub-row above bar.
I'm going to insert row below.
Row below B. Inserted a row below row 5. Combo box collapsed.
So it's inserted a row below A5. So now I have A5 and I have a blank row here. Now I have A6. So now if I wanted to write the number 4, I'll just write the number 4.
A 6, 4, a 6, as formula, 10, a 7.
And it's added that to my formula. So now I have 10 in a whatever this is. In A7 I have the number 10. So there we go. This is similar to how Excel works. It works quite well. I just did something very simple.
B7, B4.
Let's go to B3.
B3.
And let's just type in a couple of things and we'll see if we can alphabetize them. So let's type, I don't know, Kirt.
B3 set to Kirt B4.
We'll type in Nimer.
B4 set Nimer B5.
Hey Kirt, what's your partner's name?
That's a very loaded question. Which one are we talking about?
Oh, any of them.
Okay. Celeste.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Celest.
Okay, that's what I thought. So there we go. I just wanted to make sure we got it right. Celeste. All right, let's add in, I don't know, my dog's name, Farva.
B6 set Farva Celeste Nimer B Kirt.
So we have Kirt, Nimer,
Nimer Celeste Farva B
Celeste, and Farva.
Celeste Nimer Kirt B.
And let's say, maybe I wanted to sort these in alphabetical order. So remember we had the option to go to the data menu.
Data sub menu 6 of 10.
So that's Alt D to go to the data menu, or Alt Shift D.
Sort sheet by column B, comma, a right arrow Z A.
So we're going to sort this by column B, A to Z. And I'm going to hit enter.
Executing sort dot. Application combo.
Executing sort.
Farva B, Kirt B, Nimer B, B5.
So let's see. We have Celeste as the first
Celeste
one.
B1.
So that's in B1.
Farva B2.
We have Farva,
Kirt B3.
Kirt,
Nimer B4.
and Nimer. There we go. And that has done a sort for us by alphabetical, or in alphabetical order. So there we go. All right, so let's exit out of this, what is it called? This screen
Press circle
share.
left bracket I button enable. Button stop.
Stop screen share. There we go. That way Kurt won't echo. But
Yay!
that is Google Sheets. So, if you haven't given Google Sheets a go, and you're a student especially, or if you're working in the workplace and need to make use of spreadsheets, give Google Sheets a go. It can be a very powerful tool, can do a lot. It's quite accessible. It's very responsive, works very well, and that's about all I have to say about it. Let's see, we don't seem to have any comments.
Oh no!
Hey, actually, it looks like we have 0 people watching, too.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, people don't want to watch us today, I guess.
Well, hopefully when people find us later.
Yeah, they'll find it later for sure. Anyway, if you do find us later and you are interested in this content, please make sure that you hit your like button, share it, subscribe, share it with your friends, tweet it, put it on Snack Chat. We definitely appreciate it. People let them know about it. Share this out with your TVI friends so that they learn more about what is possible. Share it out with students so they don't think that they have to use an iPad for everything.
Maybe with a little language disclaimer there.
That's right. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything else I'm missing, Kurt, or anything that you'd like to talk about?
I don't think so. Now, I'll say I haven't delved into Sheets as much as you have. I've done it at work, to look at, team stats and performance metrics and, to add suggestions to things. But it's nice to see how much like Excel this is. One question I did have was when you were in a cell and you pressed the applications key to bring up the options for that specific cell, what's the equivalent of that in a Chrome OS? Would that be Search M?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I believe Google Sheets actually has its own hotkey that can be used as well, and that may be Control-Shift-X.
Oh, lovely Google. Okay.
I'm going to go to Sheets. I'll actually, let's see. Let me go back into it here. And I will let you know very shortly. But I'm pretty sure that their hotkey that they use is Control-Shift-X, which if you're using 1Password is of course the same.
That'll be fun.
Right. Control-Shift-X. Oh, I have Bitwarden assigned for that, so of course that's not going to work. But I believe that they do have that assigned, but you don't need it. Like I said, you could do Control-M or Applications key or Shift-F10.
Gotcha, but on a Chromebook, Search M should work.
It should. Yeah, absolutely. Works here anyway, so good luck.
Cool.
Okay, well, I want to thank all of you for popping on with us or enjoying this stream. And Kurt, hopefully you enjoy your meal if you haven't already.
Oh, I mean, I enjoyed the drink part of it already. So.
Okay, all right. Well, enjoy the actual foodie part.
Yeah.
We're going to try to make Thursday, I think, moving forward, around the same time. Kind of this is our go-to.
Yeah.
So we'll try to do that. Friday just wasn't going to work out for us. And,
my fault.
Yeah, it's always Kurt's fault. Of course, everything is. No, I'm kidding, Kurt.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's true a lot of the time.
No. But anyway, I'm glad that you're with us. And again, share this out. And thank you so much for joining us. If you have any suggestions, let us know. If you have any comments, let us know. If your suggestion is please turn down the speech rate, frankly, that's not going to happen because we can never make everyone happy with speech rates.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty slow. So save your comment if your comment is about speech rates. If your comment is about the time that we're going live, there's not much we can do about it, but you can always watch it later. And otherwise, yeah, definitely leave your comments, suggestions, feedback. It's always welcome. And if you'd like to come on and join us one of these days, say hello. If you have anything that you'd like to talk about, let us know. And yep, thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you next Thursday. Goodbye,
Yeah,
everybody.
take care, everybody.
Goodbye, Kurt. Thank you.